Previously on the Game On podcast.
Fair to say that the red and blue runs through the veins, mate.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I didn't have any choice, and my kids have got no choice. It's pretty much dictated right from the word go.
Yeah, let's do that properly too. Your grandparents in Glad and Jack Mason, hugely respected, not only at Norwood, but as he said, in the SANFL. And also your dad, very, very highly respected in the school principal and the schooling environment in general as well. Yeah,
absolutely. Thank you for that, Malcolm. Yeah, no, that's right. And Dad, and he was quick to let you know, he was a pretty successful coach at country level. He coached Leesondale to a couple of premierships. Snowtown certainly do some premierships as well. So really good country football. He'll tell you he should have won a male medal, but he missed out by one vote or something like that. But no, he was pretty handy.
Did you play any other sports as a kid?
Yes, tennis was a decision. So
right up my alley as well.
No, I did. I played junior tennis. So as a kid, I think you gravitate and you go to Sapsazas and you go to the countries, and then if you're lucky enough, you get a state Sapsazas. So I played all those sort of things, and then I think by the time I was 14 or 15, I sort of had fallen out of love with the game a little bit. I'd sort of been practicing and competing for a fairly long time, and at the end of the day I probably wasn't good enough anyhow, but I sort of moved and sort of gave it away at 15, and then moved into playing more and more footy.
Who were the top players around in that era, tennis wise, for South Australia, that you might have come across?
It was in South Australia. There was a guy called Jason Spear who ended up playing a bit of footy for Woodville West Torrens.
Yeah, not a bad.
I was over in Melbourne when he he went and played, but certainly in terms of nationally, and this is the sort of, you play them in tournaments, it'd be people like Richard Fromberg and Jason Stoltenberg and Todd Woodbridge. They were all sort of players that sort of that were around at that age.
Some fair names there,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, it was a good time, and I was really lucky because I got to go away a lot as a kid, and that it really forms a lot of good experiences at that young age to be able to go away and go into state with teams and play, and it puts you under a bit of pressure at times, and you have to grow up a bit. But no, it was a really good experience.
Sportscast SA presents Game On. Game On. South Australians' destination for everything sports. Local, national, and international sports. AFL football, soccer, basketball, golf, baseball, tennis, cricket, and any other sports played in this wide world. And we're going to have a blast doing it. So sit back, relax, and let's do this thing. Welcome to Game On.
Welcome to Game On. Last week, Justin Sturitsky, fantastic in his interview, and he left a couple of names off that list.
Yes, but didn't mention that he played Andre Agassi as a junior, so yes, I will have a crack at him on that one.
Fantastic to see that. Obviously, the kids are now red and blue-blooded as well, and that's something that a lot of SANFL clubs aspire to do, is to bring that younger generation through, and at the SANFL level as well.
Unfortunately, Lockie's having a fair few knee troubles. He's following on in Justin's footsteps with injury trouble. So, hopefully he comes good. But, his knee's a bit of a worry, actually.
So we thank Justin again for his time.
Definitely.
Round the grounds.
Mate, we've got a huge episode to get through. We're going to talk some AFL today, but some general AFL cricket, some of the international cricket and the local cricket, some soccer. But we're going to start off, mate, with the third test. Australia responds in a big way.
Yeah, but. Yeah. Oh, look, just farcical, though, the wicket. Cow paddocks probably being a bit unfair to cows. It's a joke. It is farcical. And again, and I'll start straight with a beef here. I hate the way the review system where it's up to the players to ask for a review. Mm-hmm. Umpires are there to umpire sport.
Yep.
Now, the first ball of the day, the umpires made a terrible mistake.
Yep.
The howler, Joel Wilson, up to his normal brilliant best.
Mm-hmm.
That should just be overturned. Bang. No, he's hit it, Joel. Reverse your decision.
Yep.
Remove the players from it. Have the umpire up there for doing the thing. But, too, I still hate the way they're using the LBW bit where a guy is a mile forward and they're saying it's going to continue on that trajectory. Mm-hmm. We saw the ball bowled, which Lyon bowled Pedrara in the first innings where it spun 3 foot.
Yep.
And we're guessing the ball's going to continue.
Yep.
I've always been a big fan. There should be a mark. Batsman's in front of that line, not out LBW.
Yep.
I've always had that opinion.
Well, going back to the first decision of the day, it was almost everyone was tentative, didn't know what to do, and it should have been overturned. We've got technology there these days that needs to be used. It's being used more and more in every sport. I mean, I watched a bit of the soccer the other day, and the VAR came in. They're talking about a bit more use in the AFL this year as well, as far as the bunker goes. If you've got the technology, use it.
I'd just like to use 4 howlers, which that was. That's out. LBW and that.
Yeah.
An LBW where a batsman hits it.
Yep.
Plainly hits it, yes, but I just think there's too much. There's too much guesswork with it for mine. I'm still a big fan of what Kerry O'Keefe said, that it's a drunk uni student just having a guess.
Yes, that the trajectories are somewhat mind-boggling at times, and you scratch your head and go, I don't know whether it would have continued along those lines.
Cam Green's today.
Yeah, India's first innings all out for 109. Looked like Australia might be going okay, but losing 6 for 12. Yeah, today or this morning, it wasn't exactly fantastic from that point of view.
Sport India right back in it. So they're 4 for at tee, trailing by 9. If they get a lead of 80, that may be enough.
Well, you can only speculate that the pitch is going to deteriorate even further, and their spinners are going to come into play a little bit more. So it's
hopefully we'll knock them over in the third session and within 2 days. But yeah, it's farcical.
Where does that leave Australia? I mean, really, India have won the Border Gavaskar Trophy. So are they?
No, one Test win though will get us into the Test match final.
Right. Okay. So there is something to play for.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Interesting.
We still may make it anyway.
Yes, but you don't want to be relying on others. Yeah. What does day 2 bring us? Does it bring us a little bit of hope that we can bowl them out pretty cheaply? Or, at the moment it's 4 for 79.
Another one just before tea. Look, just hopefully we hit him on the pads a few times in the last session.
Flip of the coin.
Yeah.
All right, we move on.
Trial matches, mate.
Yeah, in the AFL, last weekend, most clubs played a trial match, 8 or 9 periods, they're calling it. We're not calling them quarters anymore for some reason. But anyway, good chance to have a look at a lot of players.
I think people will read way too much into it this time of the year.
Yes, that was probably what I was going for there. Yeah. How much do we read into it? How much do we look at that and go, well, that is our team for round 1? Is it trialling players in different positions?
I think the teams down the bottom take it a little bit more seriously than the teams from the year before. Collingwood Hawthorn today is probably an example.
Yeah.
So I just think, plenty of teams. Carlton never used to win it. Sydney have traditionally had a shocking record in trial games. I think let's worry about it in a couple of weeks.
Yep. Buddy to be managed this year. Interesting comment from
I think
Longmire.
Yeah, I think after the success of Selwood last year and the fact that Dangerwood actually hit September and his body was okay for the first time in years, that I think teams will gamble a bit more and rest guys more and more. I think that's going to build. He's
come to the end of a 10-year contract, so he's obviously ageing a little bit and has had those injuries in previous years.
And they've got Logan McDonald who didn't play, high draft choice, didn't play in the grand final. They're probably obliged, he's the number 3 draft choice.
Yep.
You want to have a look at him.
Well, and they're a good young side too. That's the other thing. So
plenty of youth.
So Buddy's got plenty to be excited about when he does play, and vice versa. The players have got plenty to be excited about, but they've also got some pretty handy talent coming in as well. So Sydney are going to be a force to reckon with this year.
I think they've got another probably 3 or so years. I think they'll be very, very good, 3 to 5.
Last year was a bit of a surprise for them to make the grand final, but look, they're tracking ahead of time and. Experience counts for everything, doesn't it?
I'm sure I'll hear a bit more on Sunday, catching up and interviewing Tom Harley at lunch in Sydney on Sunday. So
beautiful, mate. Hey, you're doing the speaking circuit at the moment. We're lucky to have you here. New captains this year. There's 8 or 9 of them. Does that change a lot of clubs as far as them making their mark?
I don't know in that way. I think we've always got to remember a captain tosses a coin in footy. I think it's a lot more coterie things like Brisbane going the dual captains. I actually am a big fan of that because you can split up your appearances as a captain with so many functions, with private stuff you've got to go to. It's not like yes, leadership on the ground, but is Taylor Walker any less of a leader now? He's no longer captain?
No. And Rory Sloane's in the same boat. Travis Boak, Ollie Wines,
I think it's a little bit. I think we've always got to remember that they're the on-field leader, but it's generally the senior.
I think the trend got sort of bucked a little bit with Collingwood with Maxwell. Wasn't necessarily their best player, but
he was their best leader.
He was their best leader. That's right. He was solid in defence and led them beautifully on ground, and they were pretty successful over those years.
St Kilda as well.
Yeah. Rewalt, Harvey.
Yeah, no. Not
you mean currently now?
The previous captain of St Kilda, which is skipped my mind.
We'll come back to that one. SANFL review system looks like they're making some changes to the rule a little bit based on the front on contact and concussion. Obviously, it was based upon Paddy Cripps getting off on the high bump last year.
That was farcical. Absolutely ridiculous.
It was a footy collision.
Legal. But the legal bit, whether we like it as a footy collision or not, on the way of the rules, he had to get suspended. He had to get off on the legal technicality. Was Jared Geary was the person I was trying to think of. Was farcical. And look, whether, again, we've spoken about concussion enough. It's a huge issue, and they've got to be front on contact. Exactly, has got to be rated pretty highly, whether we like it or not.
Yep. Does it taint a little bit of his Brownlow because of that?
Maybe a tad, but I think everyone forgets about that after a while.
Yep.
Probably another.
He was certainly one of the best players. There's no doubt about that.
He's a gun player. Another 2 to 5 years, everyone will forget that he got reported back then. So.
All right, mate, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back after the break with a little bit more AFL and, we'll have a look at the soccer and also we'll talk about the Redbacks.
Definitely.
You're listening to the Game On Podcast. We'll be right back after this short break.
We'll stay with the AFL. Daisy Pearce begins her coaching journey with Geelong. One of 9 clubs to have female on staff. I think that's a great thing.
Look, no problem at all with that. I admit, I'm only from judging her commentary, right? Maybe way better than that with her knowledge. But for mine as a commentator, Daisy's only ever stated the bleeding obvious.
Yep.
So for me, but you've got to back the club in. But that's the only thing I'm, I hope we're not getting tokenism in appointments.
Absolutely. I think having a slightly different point of view is very, very important.
I don't mind that. I think that's good.
An alternative point of view is fantastic. I think Daisy sort of states the bleeding obvious because Channel 7 have basically got her as commentator. Maybe. She's not trying to rock too many boats a little bit, staying the course a little bit.
And don't dare anyone out there, though, think anything. I'm a massive fan of Pat Micken and Jenny Williams. I'd have them involved in 2 seconds. So.
Absolutely. I think it's only a positive thing. And obviously the comment that came eventually was that we might see a female coach one day.
Yeah, wait and see.
There's no reason why we can't.
It's a possibility.
Yeah. Again, alternative views.
Yep.
Essendon using some giant cards, holding them up to signal what stage of the game they want them to try and play. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's been done for years.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Norwood use it as well from the bench. It's a signal for how long to go, and it's a fast play, slow play signal.
Right.
So a lot of clubs do it. So yeah.
Can clubs sort of what I'm trying to
overcoach?
Say? Oh yeah, a little bit. Yes, that's probably where
so.
I'm at. Going, you don't want to provide them with too much information, but then you also don't want to provide them with not enough. And obviously, Essendon Scott at Essendon's come in with some new ideas.
Look, playbooks are very complicated. The terms in them, the B1, B2 for the blocker, the roamer, the traveller. There's that many things in them of having read one and that. And I'll never forget Nathan Bassett in his intimidable way let Darren Pfeiffer reminded him that you're not effing playing for Port, you're playing for Nord tonight, because he got into a Port set-up position, not a Nord one, just on habit.
Yeah.
And it is very complicated.
Have we overcomplicated the
I
game?
think so.
I think so as well. Yeah, absolutely. We talked about it earlier, but Brisbane named co-captains Lachie Neale and Harris Andrews.
Yeah, as I said, I know it goes against tradition, but I'm a fan of it, of sharing the responsibility of the coterie appointment of stuff you've got to do. Share it.
Absolutely. I think it's only a good thing as well. The co-captains haven't quite worked in previous years, but I think Brisbane's setup allows them to have those co-captains, and Fagan's a very, very smart coach.
But we're only saying it hasn't worked because they haven't gone top.
Yeah.
Who's to say it hasn't worked off the ground and they've picked up extra sponsors out of it, and the captains, and it's been a big tick. So, yeah.
Wait and see on that one. Jason Castagna calls his time on his AFL career 16 days before the start of the season. A bit of a strange one.
It's bizarre. Look, he's just done a hamstring again and all that. But hang on. You've done 99% of people, the pre-season bits, the dread. That's the time where you hammer your body, you get and all that.
Yep, been there, done that.
Yeah, bloody hell, finally finished that crap. Now we can get on and play.
Yep.
And he opts to retire now, and Richmond can't replace him. Like, Phil Narkle would be nice and dark, that he probably would have got that spot. So, it's a weird one. It's really strange.
Sort of saying that he's sort of fallen out of love with it. I can understand it after a big pre-season, but you're right, 16 days before the start of the season is a bit of a bizarre decision.
I don't get it. Not at this time of the year.
Maybe.
This is normally the time before round one, you're pumped.
Absolutely.
Got that bit over and we can play.
Well, he'll remain on the list, and I'm sure that he'll probably float around somewhere and potentially play a little bit of something, you would imagine.
Who knows?
But who knows? Yeah, it's a very interesting one. Weird. And our last one on the AFL tonight, mate, the Gawn and Grundy show. Shows signs of what's to come.
Yeah, look, it'll be interesting whether they use, whichever one of them in the back play, the other one in the front half, and then switch it around. Yep. Look, they're both huge talents. So
again, trial matches are what these are sort of designed for, to see these players in action in different spots. And
let's remember, the old thing was the ruckman changed in the forward pocket. Now,
absolutely.
Hang on, we can go back to the par.
Back to the future.
Yeah. Yep.
I think I was having a conversation with a mate of mine yesterday. We were only talking about it, saying that it's just amazing how some of the skills have actually declined, and it's been more about the athletes.
Yes.
The first team that actually puts a player deep forward or a ruckman in the forward pocket could actually unlock the success pretty quickly, and it could all change back to the way it was. So, yeah, very interesting that they're going down that track.
Personally, I hope so.
Yeah. All right, mate, we'll move on to cricket. The Redbacks into the one-day final against Western Australia next Wednesday.
Yeah, we were good. We were good on Sunday. It was pretty clinical. It was actually bizarre to be at a game at Adelaide Oval. The game going into its inevitable conclusion, and it's South Australia's way. We're going, hang on, we're leaving Adelaide Oval at 2:45, and South Australia have won.
Yes.
I've left Adelaide Oval plenty of times 2:45 after we've lost.
And head down. Yeah.
So it was a bit weird.
What were your takeouts? I mean, obviously beating Victoria is a good one to get. Obviously we get one up on the Vicks, but what were your takeaways? We seem to be in the zone a little bit.
We just played pretty well.
Yeah, smart.
Just bowled them out and then just did what we had to get the total 2 down pretty easily.
Which doesn't happen very often. We tend to panic a little bit in those situations, and that's sort of why I'm leaning on you that you were there to go. What?
No, it
what
was.
Sort of
it
worked?
was just pretty clinical. Oh. Yeah, no, it was. Victoria didn't bat well. I will say that. But I also agree with Alan Favell. We had a chat on Sunday. 10 o'clock starts on Adelaide Oval is a big toss to win. You actually want to bowl with the game. It's amazing how much more the ball does between 10 and 11 than after 11.
Wow. Some inside knowledge there.
Yeah, Greg Blewett made that point as well.
Yep.
So, it definitely does seem to do a bit. Had him enough, then they just fell away, and, clinical chase.
Western Australia have been pretty solid throughout the years, not only in the shorter form of the game, but also the longer form of the game. How are we going to take them down, basically?
Their depth's incredible.
Yeah, it is.
Their current Shield game, Josh Philippi, Ash Turner, and Marcus Stoinis all missed out on getting a game. That's pretty strong depth, extraordinary depth, really. And considering that Berendorf doesn't play Shield games anymore, so that would be another bowler in the equation there. Yeah.
Going to have to be at the top of our game.
Ty as well doesn't play Shield. Yeah, they're very strong.
Yep. Well,
they're the team.
Who knows? You only need to win on one day, and we did our flashbacks a couple of weeks ago, and Western Australia looked like they had some pretty good depth then, but South Australia got them on that day. So who knows?
At least we're into a final.
We are. We will stay with cricket. The Scorpions.
Wow. To be cruising 5 down, need 4 to win off the last over. In one of the great chokes in history, lose 5 for 2 in the last over. It was just bizarre.
You had to see it to believe it.
Played were just panic stuff. Instead of just batting with a bit of common sense, push it. I would have preferred 5 runouts than the huge slogs they had. Yeah, it was just,
look,
wow.
Yeah, again, for our listeners, if you haven't seen it, go back and visit on YouTube or Facebook or whatever.
It may well be the greatest choke in sporting history.
It could be
up there.
Yeah. Well, the Solomon Islands against Spain did their mighty best in a T20 game for the biggest choke as well. So,
yes.
But yeah, it was bizarre watching those. The first was the slog and the caught and bowled. Okay, then what was it? An LBW.
We got to run next.
We got to run.
Ball,
yeah, and then an LBW.
And then a slog.
Yeah.
Oh, it was terrible.
Yeah, and then the one that came off the hand and hit the stumps. You go, it's just not meant to be. Oh. Crazy things. Exactly. It was a title that was within our reach, and we just let it go at the final stages.
Yep.
All right, we move on to soccer. Adelaide United draw against Melbourne Victory. I actually sat and watched this game.
Yeah, not a bad result. Probably, obviously, would have loved to win, but not a bad result.
Yeah, a bit of controversy. Adelaide United, again, I sat and watched this actually on Sunday afternoon. Adelaide United had possession of the ball, had control of the ball and control of the game in the first half, and had a couple of opportunities, but Melbourne Victory, sort of with their limited opportunities, probably looked a little more dangerous early on. Possession of ball versus that slingshotting play, probably
a bit of both.
Probably lucky to still be 0-0, and then a little bit of a controversial call in the box for Melbourne Victory.
Penalty.
Looking at it, commentators are all saying, look, it's a line ball, but probably not the decision. It's given against Calviert, just can't believe his luck.
Yeah.
They score a goal. It almost sort of switched Adelaide into full-on attack mode, and for the next 15 minutes, they went absolutely nuts trying to get there. And Renadaconda had an absolute beauty, mate. This is a highlight that you normally see overseas, but this one here was an absolute cracker.
It is as you said, it's one of the highlights of the game of the year. Look, a win would have takes a second, still fourth, but
equal on points.
Big game this week.
Yeah, huge game tomorrow night.
Yeah. Yep.
We're home, so scoring record at home is generally pretty good, but their scoring's pretty good as well. So should be a blockbuster match this Friday night.
Be a decent crowd down there, I think.
I would think so. The weather's supposed to be pretty good too. Bit better than last week, mate.
Yes.
We're not here sweating this week.
Exactly.
All right, we'll take a quick break. Once we come back after the break, we'll speak with Benny Warren.
Past players, past legends,
We welcome to the show Ben Warren, past South Adelaide and Norwood player, and of course Norwood premiership coach in 2014. Benny, quick 2001 to 2010 at South Adelaide, 163 games, 345 goals. Of course, then at Norwood in 12 and 13, 42 games, 69 goals, and leading goal kicker at South just for a casual 6 years in a row, and captain in 2010. Welcome aboard, Benny.
Thanks, gentlemen. How you going?
Very, very good, mate. We'll start back. Where did you start with your juniors, mate? Where did you play when you were a junior?
I'm a Langhorne Creek Hawk, so I grew up out near Wellington on a dairy farm. So Langhorne Creek was the local footy club there, and Dad was a 457-game player at Langhorne Creek. So went out there, and then obviously, was recruited to South Adelaide through the zone.
Through John Griffin. I'm quite, Griff's the best coach that I've closely been involved with, and of course Griff and Greg Anderson travelled out to your illustrious farm, Benny.
They did. Griff was probably was very instrumental in getting me to South Adelaide, because without his push, I probably wouldn't have gone. But look, South Adelaide were fantastic for me, and they were into me early, probably when I was about 15 or 16. But my mother doesn't drive; she's visually impaired. So, and being on a dairy farm always going to be difficult to travel from Wellington to Noarlunga. So it never eventuated until I left school, and Griff was a big part of that for sure.
Because you didn't have, so you played under Greg Anderson, Robert Pyman, Gary, of course under John Cale and Clay Sampson. Robert Pyman was the one where you played finals, the only finals appearance in 2006, Benny. So it was a bit of a lean pickings in that sort of regard.
Very tumultuous times. We've only played the one final series. We had Ron Fuller at the end of my career, Gary Cameron, the former Geelong Cat and South Adelaide Panther. I think he took the reins for about 4 or 5 games there at some stage. So
from John Cale,
six coaches, I think it was. So 5 or 6. But it was great to be coached by Jack. I was a Port Adelaide supporter as a kid, so really idolised Jack. And he only lasted 6 games, which was interesting. But we won. I think we won 3 of them and lost the next 3, and then he was gone. So.
Yeah, interesting times there.
Oh, wow.
What's the other favourite memories down at windy Noarlunga, Benny?
Look, it was just great to play league football. Obviously, I followed the SANFL closely as a kid, and to go and play league football was a great thrill. And to meet a few, obviously, lifelong friends. A few of the guys at my wedding that were at South Adelaide when I went there, and so it's been a still keep in contact with Neil Sharp and Jared Wright down there, and a big part of my life, 10 years. So it was obviously disappointing to leave, but obviously turned out pretty good leaving there to go to Norwood.
So you had the year back at Langhorne Creek in 11, and that back at your home club, and of course you're the king of cricket. We'll get to that later at Langhorne Creek. Then of course recruited to Norwood. Go through that one, mate.
Yeah, I had a bit of a hip injury, bursitis in my hip through 2010, and sort of Ron was new to the club, and I think he was keen to. I think he might have said, if you can finish bottom with the players we've got, or we can finish bottom without you, sort of thing in terms of promoting the youth. So, look, I wasn't a highly played player at South Adelaide. I was through the zone, and so, but had a hip problem. Didn't know if it would be fixed in time to play SANFL football, and it wasn't until about 2011 in April that it came good. Went and saw a specialist on numerous occasions and finally got it fixed, and Mark Ross was good enough to give me a call and just throughout the year kept in contact, and then obviously at 29 years of age, look, I wasn't overly keen to play local footy at that time. I still sort of had a little bit left in the tank, but went to Norwood and obviously had the 2 premierships there and had a great time under Bass.
And with that under Bass, did you meet up beforehand and found your footy philosophies were pretty similar, or in that, because you certainly fitted Bass's game plan and you were superb in the back play, going as the +1 quite often when we were in front. It was the defensive game, which Bass's game plan was defensive, but you more than played your role, and you were fantastic in the +1 role as well.
Yeah, I definitely liked what I heard from Nathan for sure. But it was something a little bit different than what I'd heard previously over the years. Most of the coaches were very similar.
Yep.
And even the training sessions. But Nathan was a bit more role specific. And if you're a forward, we do this sort of training. Crafts and midfield do that, and defenders do, and really emphasise your role. And so I guess when you're a little bit older too, you're a little bit more understanding about that team orientation. And when you're young, you just want to play the game, don't you? And so to come along there, and we had Brett Zorsey and Kieran McGuinness and James Gallagher and a few older guys that was just good to play with, who were really good guys and obviously very talented footballers, and just to be able to play alongside those guys and fit in really and play your role, as Nathan used to say, was really rewarding. And Nathan used to reward the behaviours that he wanted to see. So if you did some team orientated behaviours, he would always reward that, which was great. And we had a very strong team, no doubt. I think Norwood might have got knocked out in the preliminary final the year before.
Yep.
So they were sort of hungry, and after a grand final loss the year before that. So still well and truly in the window. And to top up with, I think Luke Jericho actually came out of retirement or came back that year maybe.
From Westies and
from Westies. So, so it was a good group of men and Nathan was obviously a wonderful coach. And I just really enjoyed winning. I think I only won 40 games across my 163 at South Adelaide. I think we won 36 or 7 at Norwood when I was there. So it's far more enjoyable when you're winning.
So where did so let's go back to the nickname, mate. Where'd that come into play?
Douglas is my middle name, so Duggar.
Oh, okay. Just straight from the middle name. Okay. I'd always wondered that.
Pretty simple.
Yeah, it was a bit boring. You could have livened that up, mate. Yes.
Going back to your time at South Adelaide, was it hard to leave South Adelaide and play at another SANFL club, or had you given everything to South and it was time for a change?
No, it was very difficult because you always think, and even players that I speak to now, you potentially might be recruiting to come to other SANFL clubs that they want to be a one-club player. And I certainly thought, never in my wildest dreams would I leave South Adelaide. I know, in 07 I wasn't in great form for a while there and played a couple of twos games after. And North Adelaide obviously rang, and Port Adelaide offered me some huge deals, to what I was on, 10 times what I was getting. And, just to be able to, I didn't obviously take the plunge then, but I think when, I could see Ron was clearly wanted to get some, youth into the team and get a few more younger recruits at the club. And all my friends had left, to be honest, at South Adelaide at the end of 2009 when Ron was appointed. Tommy Haitley and, Clay Sampson, the coach, had gone, and a few of those guys. So it certainly wasn't easy, but, you go to Norwood and there was just the most wonderful people there. It was fantastic.
It's safe to say it was one of your best career moves.
Yeah, it was probably more forced, not forced, but it wasn't something you ever envisaged, I guess, to go to another club. But just great to play in front of, the crowds on the Friday night there at the parade. And it was just, the history, South Adelaide's a very historic club as well. But Norwood, in recent times have probably, South haven't won a premiership for 60 years. But still some wonderful people at South Adelaide. But, Norwood just obviously got that, historic and iconic team.
Were you at South Adelaide when they moved to Noarlunga, where it was pretty open initially?
No, 95 they moved there. I came at the end of 2000. So,
Benny, of course, a bit of pride too, kicking 4 in your last game. Like Brett Zorsey winning the Jack Odie in his last game. It was a contribution right to the line. And you certainly could have gone on in 14. There was no doubt about that.
Yeah, no, it was, look, I was certainly at the end of the line for sure, but I think, again, just playing in a very good team, we were, I think we didn't lose a game after round 10 that year in 13, and I guess you never had to really do more than what, you didn't feel like you had to do more than what you needed to do. I think if you just, my role was really a competition role. If I could kick a goal or two a game, set a few up, help the young kids, with Ratio, Fantasia, Peter Bampton, who else was up there? Oh, Trent Dumont was in the midfield, so we had quite a youthful. James Ace was in there as well, and so it was just good to play. We had a nice blend of experience and youth, and it was just good fun to be a part of.
Of course, as you said, you're right. I reckon the perfect wording was roles. Like there was Andrew Ace in the 13 grand final, almost played as a quarterback role to stop the North run transition through the middle, and it was very role specific under Bass. There was never any doubt about that.
Yeah, and I think that the art of coaching as well is, if you have your roles, you've got to be able to see which players can play them as well. And I think that's one of Bass's greatest strengths is he could see what players he wanted to play in those roles. And young James Ace, I think he came in at 16, and I remember him at the end of 2011 there. We must have been training in the gym, and he's 15 years old. And I thought, oh, this little skinny kid, and he was quietly confident. And he said, I've got my eyes on round 1, and I thought, he's a bit delusional, this kid. But little did I know that he was going to start in round 1 and finish 2 years later with 2 premierships and then off to Brisbane.
Casual, 24 games, 2 premierships, 1 loss. It is an extraordinary
That is
stat.
a statistic that continues not only to come up on this podcast, but
it is bizarre.
It is a good stat.
And Benny, since finishing up, and then go to how coming about to end up coaching Nord, mate.
Yeah, transitioning into the role.
Yeah, it was all a bit bizarre, bit of a whirlwind, but I think as you saw, Nathan was a step ahead of the SANFL at the time, and even ahead of some AFL clubs in the way that he coached. Because obviously back then we had AFL players playing in our Norwood team. Matt Thomas, Lewis Stevenson, Brent Renouf, and Pfeiffer, and they're all coming in. Luke Brown, they're playing with us, and they were very complimentary of Nathan's coaching. So I guess the club probably didn't want to take a backward step in terms of hiring someone at the time that, maybe didn't understand Nathan's methods so I guess from that point of view, the club wanted to continue that type of football, which, obviously for whatever reason I was chosen and it obviously worked out pretty well. We won in 2014. We didn't start overly well, but it was all a bit of it was a fantastic experience, that's for sure. So,
and I thought you added a little bit of attacking flair. Like the second semi and grand finals were both great games of football. Okay, yes, we're biased Norwood way and we won, but geez, they were good footy.
Yeah, I think what people probably don't know, I think after round 8 we averaged 101 points a game. Yeah. Which look, Nathan's teams averaged over 100, but we just certainly screwed the other teams into the ground, really. Yeah. We probably didn't have the quality, without being disrespectful to the 2014 team. But when you take out half a dozen AFL players,
exactly,
you're probably not going to be as strong as the 12 and 13 team. But no, the boys are fantastic in 14. But when you got, Kieran McGuinness and Matthew Panos and Michael Newton, these guys are AFL quality, and they were wonderful, wonderful players. And you saw what Panos did this year in the grand final last year. He's still a star, and they're a great team to coach.
And look, I'll go ahead on a limb. Personally, I don't think Ben received the appropriate support at Norwood, and too many other people got to say who shouldn't have. I'm quite open and honest about that. Probably may have had the odd discussion defending you, Benjamin, at the parade. So I certainly stick to my guns and opinions on that one, mate. So you have still got a supporter here.
Yeah, no, thank you, Will. No, it's all good, mate. It's all good. It's because one of those times where the club we lost a lot of players. People probably don't understand. We lost, I think we lost 12 after 2012 and 13 after 13, and then we lost 7 at 14, and we lose 7 at the end of 15. So it's a lot of players, a lot of quality. You lose up to, I think it was 30 players we lost in 3 or 4 years. So, and we were banned for recruiting for 2014, so it was always going to be up against it. After I thought maybe in 15 we had a lot of injuries, but we probably should have at least finished in the top 3 in 15. And but we missed out by 0.2% behind West Adelaide, and you go to elimination, you get rolled. So then things just started to unravel a bit there, and you lose a few players after that, and. You can't always win, though. I know that.
Exactly.
I must admit I was surprised to see you depart Norwood like that as well. But you moved on since then to be an assistant coach at South and Sturt.
Yeah, Marty Mattner was the coach in Sturt of 2016, my last year at Norwood, and he obviously rang me straight after I left Norwood, and they had a vacant midfield role there, so I was still keen to stay involved somewhere. And so I took that up for 3 years with Martin and Nathan Grimer. And then I was going to have a year off in 2020, but COVID hit, and then I hadn't been back at South really since I left. And Jared Wright rang, and COVID was sort of a bit of an interrupted year, so I didn't go out there till sort of February or whenever it was, when they February or March, when it was sort of COVID sort of hit. And so I really enjoyed my 2 years at South Adelaide. We made 2 preliminary finals, and we probably should have won one of them. But we didn't, and it would have been good to see the Panthers make a grand final. It's been a pretty long drought for them, unfortunately. And then last year, just took the year off. Just my little fella, he's 9, and my daughter's 11. Our daughter's 11, so they're both playing football, cricket, netball, basketball. So life gets busy, and but I have rejoined Sturt.
Yes, you couldn't help yourself, Benny.
Marty, it was one of those things, mate. It's, what are you doing on a Saturday afternoon? But or a Friday night. But no, I really enjoyed Sturt. Like I work in the city. I think it's 5 minutes from my work, so it's just, we live at Plimpton Park, so it's about a 10-minute round trip. So it's very convenient. Otherwise, I still really enjoy the Panthers, but just a bit far away at the moment for me.
And cricket-wise, at Langhorne Creek, and that. Cricketer, hard-hitting left-hand batsman, very successful, right-hand medium pacer. Go through your cricket sort of stuff too, Benny.
Yeah, so I've started in the 13s at Langhorne Creek, and I pretty much have played all the way through. I think I had about 5 years off at the end of my SANFL career, where I was just, recovery and injury and those sort of things sort of got in the way, and wanted to try and maximise my SANFL career. So, but yes, when I finished playing, I think it must have been 2015, I got back into it when I was coaching Norwood, and we've made the finals. The A grade have made the finals every year since then, and the club's going really well. We've got 4 senior teams for a population of 400, and we've got 4.5 junior teams. So the club's going really well. Really enjoy it.
Didn't Norwood have a pretty solid cricketing side through that period as well that you were at Norwood? There was a few guys that played cricket.
A lot of guys have played.
Yeah, Tim Webber's a district cricketer. We actually have a few of us still play on a Tuesday night for the Kensington Old Man's team in the T20, which Malcom comes out and supports. And Tim Webber, I'm sure Malcolm's told you about the story on Tuesday night. The game got abandoned, but Tim Webber, Nathan Bassett was obviously a very good player. Scotty Bassett, Robbie Neal played a couple of games last year.
The Norwood boys were playing in a side for Princes, and it was quite funny. It was against Payneham, and I turned up, and Zach Richards called me over. He said, "Malcom, the scorer knows all of us." I said, "Yeah, Grant Wasley, he's a Norwood man as well, mate." So it was quite humorous. And
Zachy's a good little left-hander, Zachy.
Yeah, so it was a bit fun. Now, Benny, you're lucky enough team manager-wise. You had the calm, composed Mark Robinson at Norwood. Understand you may have tried to end the career of a cricket team manager.
Roscoe, the great man.
Bastard.
I didn't realise he's taken it to heart. But last year we had we had a game disqualified because the player wasn't registered. So I just thought I'd send Roscoe a text about making sure if everyone's qualified for the finals this year, we don't want to get disqualified, because if anyone can make it happen, it's Roscoe. And we didn't take it too kindly, and he retired.
Jeez.
Wow.
I didn't realise the full story there, Benny. Yeah.
Drastic times, cool.
It was all tongue in cheek, but I think he was managing about 5 teams, and he didn't take it too kindly, Roscoe. But he's a good man, Roscoe. Enjoy his company.
Yes. Thank you. Dog Basfeed for that one. I didn't get the full story, I admit. So apologies on that one.
Has cricket obviously always been in the blood as well? I mean, obviously excelled at football, but and you've done pretty well at cricket, but something that you continue to love doing? Yeah,
I do. Yeah, no, something that I probably enjoyed cricket more as a kid. But football's more of a team game, and a bit more fun, a bit more bums on seats. People come and watch, and it's a great atmosphere at Langhorne Creek if you've ever been there. And we've got a great little club. But cricket was, always been. Obviously, just watching the Test match now. Aussies are going okay, but my son's into cricket as well. He plays down at the Phantoms, and I was lucky enough to play in the over 40 state team this year in Gosford a few months ago, which was a bit of a thrill.
That's right, you did play that, yeah. So with Jamie Pinelli and that.
Yeah, Jamie's a great man. So didn't know too many players in the squad, but certainly came home with a few friends and a few new friends. So it was good fun.
Which is what sport's all about in the end.
Absolutely.
Who was the best player you played with, mate? At Norwood. We'll say Norwood first.
Oh, it's hard to go past Kieran McGuinness.
Yep.
He was just ability to read the play and defend. And even he was a great, wonderful captain as well. He's very level-headed, and he was a great influence on the group, particularly in 14 when we had Bazorzi and Gags finished in 12. Yeah. But we had, I think, Pfeiffer left and Suckling and all those sort of older guys left. So for him to take over, really take control of the group, really, he was just as much as a coach as I was. I just had the bloody bad news of telling people they couldn't play, when they get axed. But Kieran was a much-loved figure in the club and still is.
Very much so.
What about at South Adelaide, mate?
Yeah, we had when I first started, we had a lot of wonderful players. Like a lot of players came over from the AFL back then, and guys that I, idolised. Phil Merton and Simon Crawshay were both Hawthorn players. I was a Hawthorn man, so Clay Sampson was a premiership Crow. There was a whole host of players at the Panthers, a lot of talent. Chris Hall was probably one of the better ones. He was a Port Power rookie there, but he was a South Adelaide junior, left footer.
Yep.
So, Yeah, I would say probably Chris at this stage, yeah.
And did you have any aspirations of playing AFL?
Oh, I certainly did when I was younger, but in those days, like if you didn't make it at 18, your career was to go to the AFL was about 0.04%. I reckon it would have been back then, but now it's been a lot more. There's a lot more options, and the recruiters are more open. But look, I probably wasn't quite good enough. But I did train with Port Adelaide at the end of 2001 for about 8 weeks there, and Nick Jackman actually took the spot. Who was a good mate of mine at the Panthers and also Norwood.
Yep. Yes, that's
and
right.
Dentist.
The dentist. Yep.
Yep. I think he got a new dentist.
On the parade. Yep.
On the parade there, Beulah. So, and then Scotty Borlace, I think, trained there. He got on the next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there was myself. So I was the one that didn't obviously get a spot, but Scott and Nick got one. Yeah, got a spot each.
Benny, overall, just a huge contribution to the game overall at Pantherland, and then of course at the parade. Great, massive respect, and I'm sure we will catch up to probably next Tuesday night, mate.
Sounds good, man. Thank you for having me.
Okay, thanks, Benny.
Thank you very much, Benny, for joining us.
See you, mate. Bye.
Bye.
Liking this podcast? Please like, rate, and subscribe. Happy days.
Mate, we start off happy days today with happy birthday, Tom Duday, Adelaide Crows player, played 20 games last year, played 71 games in total in 5 seasons. How important is he to Adelaide's backline and continued improvement?
I think he's an important player. I'd like to see him thrown in the midfield as well. Very mature kid. He's got his head in the right spot. Does a lot of stuff down at Bedford and helps out the disadvantaged, and that he's a really good guy.
I was actually surprised when I did a little bit of the stats that, he played 71 games. It just seems like he's been around forever. Solid in that back line and really that third man up, cutting the angles, type of player that's, much needed these days. Almost the Bassett role.
Yeah, he's important in that way, but I wouldn't be surprised if Max Michaelini ends up playing that role, and that does then release Tom to the midfield. And they do desperately need a big-bodied midfielder. Mm-hmm. I still think he can be that player. So
absolutely,
yeah.
I hadn't considered Tom Duday in the midfield, but the more you think about it, the more it actually makes sense. Doesn't it?
The Crips sort of role.
Yeah, Bontempelli. Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of Max Michaelini, happy birthday to Max Michaelini this week. Obviously, newly drafted to the Crows under the father-son rule, and impressed since he's arrived at West Lakes.
Sop, son of piano. So look, he's a good kid. I was really impressed with the Red Legs movie side of things, that there he was after missing out the grand final, where a lot of people would be the dummy in the dirt, but he was in the rooms really wishing people, and you could see he was really got him to involve. So he's a good kid.
Yep. Again, a bit like we were talking to Justin Staritsky last week, that the red and blue runs in the veins, and he's going to support no matter what, even if he is playing for the Crows. He's always going to be a Norwood boy through and through. Yeah,
and that was what Mitch Creek hated playing against Norwood. He just couldn't stand it.
Yep.
And, I think Max and Taylor Walker would be the same.
Might be the same, yeah. Happy birthday also to Tony Modra this week. Adelaide Crows superstar, kicking 100 goals in 1993, kicking 13 against Richmond in round 16 is a pretty fair effort. Oh. He kicked 26 goals, actually, of his 119, I think it was, in that year against Richmond. So he loved playing him.
Yeah, and he also kicked the 13 or 14 against Carlton the round one year. Oh, look, he was a superstar. Look, mark of the year. We've all seen all the highlights. Mm-hmm. He was an incredible player, and he was just a natural. He was a free spirit.
And that was really in his second year. I mean, he debuted in 92. In 93, kicks 100 goals. And, it was probably a big part of getting the Crows to their 97 premiership. Got injured.
Injured in the prelim.
Yeah.
Yes.
Watching back some of the footage, obviously kicking his 100th at, where was it? It was at Optus Oval, I reckon it was, against Fitzroy. Basically, the crowd wasn't as big as Buddy, but, are we going to see another 100-a-year goal kicker?
Very unlikely with the way modern footy is. Hopefully things will change, but, Yeah, it is unlikely.
You never know. The tide might change. All right, mate, we move on. In 1991, David Boone completes his 10th century in Test cricket, 109 not out, against the West Indies at Kingston.
Yeah, great fighter. Obviously could drink a beer. But, yeah, fantastic player as well. The short, little, stubby Tasmanian.
Just never seemed to get out easily.
No, he always made the opposition earn his wicket.
Yeah.
So
Certainly. We stay with cricket, mate. A little bit of a sad one. Well, not quite sad, but a little disappointing. In 2009, the Sri Lankan cricket team is attacked by terrorists on the way to Gaddafi Stadium in Lahore for the second test against Pakistan, and the match is subsequently abandoned.
Look, I think it's just so hard for us to sort of
comprehend it.
Just we look at that sort of thing and go, wow, hang on.
Yeah.
You know, we might hate Port Adelaide and Crows, that sort of stuff, but hang on, we're not terrorists against each other.
No.
You know? It's just incomprehensible.
When I'm looking up, some of these things that have happened in sporting history, and I come across that one, and I'm just scratching my head. I'm a bit like you. We don't appreciate how lucky we are and what we've got. And you've got players here that are just wanting to play their sport, their chosen sport, and they're being attacked by terrorists. It's just disappointing, and again, it's incomprehensible, but it's also hard to comprehend as well. And the last one, mate, Major League confirms, baseball this is, confirms that postseason will be extended. This is in 2012, so we're going back a little way there. That their postseason will be extended from 8 to 10 teams with an extra wildcard team available from each league. Good or bad thing?
Well, now it's just accepted.
Yeah.
It's just considered the norm.
Now, I know we've touched on it in the AFL. Is it something that we should be considering?
Well, I hate that bye weekend. I just think it takes away the impetus. And even if there was one game played, for mine it still helps. But I'm just against that whole bye thing because I think it deflates the advantage of finishing 1 to 4. So I'm against that anyway. But it's a maybe, especially when now more teams are so even. So
I think it can be a good thing. I mean, the broadcasters are obviously what that pays a lot of what's going on in the game today. We potentially might have a 19th team coming in Tasmania. I think a wildcard game would be very, very exciting, especially if there were 2 of them on a weekend. Do you then have to rejig the final 8 to sort of accommodate that a little bit?
I think it was 7 play 10 and 8 play 9.
Yeah.
Whether when another team comes in, whether that changes it up, it's a maybe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do we extend the season? This is going a little bit off what we've got on the run sheet, off topic a little bit. Do we extend the season and get rid of the practice matches and just start right from the get-go?
I've always been a fan of that.
Interesting.
The more and more so every teams are playing each other twice, so there's less advantage in the draw.
Yep.
That way,
Will it overlap a little bit with the AFLW season?
That's a possibility, but
I think the more content and the more footy that people want to see, the better.
Well, it's certainly fascinating that so it was 2 weeks ago going to watch Norwood, the ladies on the Friday night, and there was a decent sized crowd at Norwood Oval.
Yep.
So by February, people are clamouring for footy.
Absolutely. All right, mate, we'll scoot into the extra time big finish.
Extra time, big finish.
All right, mate, we've got a bit of a toss-up to start us with the AFL today. Grand final day. Day grand final or twilight grand final?
I'm a day grand final. I'm a bit of a fan of the barbecues, everyone watching it, and all that. I'm a fan of that. That one at twilight I found really hard, and that just didn't seem the same. I'm a fan of day, but
it was something new that they hadn't trialled the twilight, so it was interesting. Weird. Second one on the toss-up, mate. Pre-season or no pre-season? We just talked about it.
Really.
So, really, no pre-season?
Yep.
I'm sort of in the same boat. All right.
Can Norwood go back-to-back?
Yeah, SANFL. I think they can, but it's going to be mighty tough.
Very even competition.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yep.
I only think West Adelaide will struggle. I think everyone else could challenge the 5. So I think it's the most even season potentially we've had in years. Okay, obviously the AFL sides, the two sides depend on injuries. That's out of the equation a bit more.
Yep.
But, yeah, I think it'll be very even.
Every win is a must.
Yeah. Look,
take every opportunity.
Yeah. It's a maybe, but then who knows? A few injuries and we could miss the 5, so wait and see.
Yep.
Who have you got, mate?
Sturt or Glenelg? Who finishes higher? I think Glenelg just.
Yeah, it's a toss the coin.
And this is why I've thought we'd throw this one in here.
New coach as well.
Oh, yes, actually. No, that sways it a little bit more Sturt's way.
Maybe.
No, I reckon the double blues. I'm going to change my mind. I reserve the right to change my mind on that one.
I'll toss a coin and actually.
Yep.
Tails is Glenelg, heads is Sturt. Whatever you nominated, mate.
Yeah, I'm going Sturt. I'm going heads.
Rightio.
There you go. All right. It's a toss-up, and like you said, it's going to be an even one, that's for sure. And obviously, Sturt and Glenelg are going to be an interesting first round up as well.
Yeah.
Eagles and Norwood are going to be in the same boat. All right, mate, who you got as well? We're going to the AFL this time. Sydney or Brisbane? Who finishes high, mate?
I reckon we've already done this one. I'm going Brisbane, but it's, again, a bit of a toss-up. Brisbane with no Adams in defence.
Yep.
I think they are vulnerable down there. Injuries, again, it's a little bit of it is a toss-up, but I'll go Brisbane as a toss.
I'm on the Brisbane bandwagon as well. I reckon that they're going to do it, but again, flip the coin and see how they go. And Sydney have got some very good talent as well. Essendon and Adelaide. Who finishes higher between those two? Now, here's where it gets interesting.
I think Jake Stringer for them is important, and he does seem already to be injured, and that. And I'll go for Adelaide to start with. But again, they're both iffy.
New coach at Essendon, so you can get a bit of an uplift from them, but I don't know. I think Adelaide are tracking on the right direction. Again, flip of the coin, and that's why we've called it toss-up, or who have you got? I'm going to say Adelaide just at the moment.
The Live Golf, mate.
Yep, coming to Adelaide. It's getting closer. We're getting near that mad March time where everything's coming to town. It's going to be an absolute buzz.
Yeah.
Can we see the PGA and Live Golf coming together and so they can coexist without this sort of angst at the moment?
Not involved enough with golf on that one. Just probably don't know the inner sanctum enough of it.
I mean, probably the biggest one in our lifetime has probably been the World Series cricket and how that started out as a little bit of a breakout league. Ends up sort of working out for the better long term. Obviously, it's going through a little bit of a growing pain at the moment with all the T20 stuff. So can they coexist? I think it's a toss-up at the moment. I heard Greg Norman talk the other day, say that their first 2 years are a bit of a beta testing ground as to how they move forward. It can coexist, but whether the people involved in the game want it to, it's going to be a toss-up. Yeah, for sure. Anyway. All right, mate, we move on to AFLW. Another Crow moves to Port Adelaide.
Yeah, Woodland. Yeah, look, I think that goes in with the next bit. I think the extension has gone too quick.
Yep.
I don't think there's the talent for the teams yet for that. I think it is going.
Are we going to see a little bit of a decrease in skills a little bit on the basis that, this is the second year of those extension teams and there still is a little bit of player movement around the place?
Maybe. Let's wait and see on that one. Look, as I said, I was pleasantly surprised at the stand of the North game a couple of weeks ago. Yep. So hopefully not, but wait and see. But I do think they are.
It'll plateau, obviously, because of the expansion, but we want to see probably a faster uptake after that. But like you said, the standard at the SANFL level seems to be, reasonably good at the moment. So there is that system that's pushing them through a little bit as well. So very, very interesting.
Yes, whether the game is ready for
it.
But women's footy is the fastest growing sport in the country. So
absolutely, and we support it 100%, and that's why we'll continue to back it.
Yeah, it is vital. Yep. The Crows' 5-year plan.
Yeah, today the Crows come out with a 5-year plan. Is it a good thing or a bad thing?
Yeah, I'm not a real fan of those sort of things.
I think you sort of set yourself up a little bit. I know it's good to have those goals, but to come out publicly and sort of state it, Yes, there's some things in there about moving to a new home at Theberton.
Yeah.
Want to get X amount of members. I think that's really, really good. But I think you put a little bit undue pressure on the team winning a premiership by 2027 or whenever it might be. You set yourself up a little bit for failure. I mean, Port Adelaide were classic a couple of years ago doing exactly the same thing, and, gee, that backfired a little bit on them. And I think the only team that's really done well on it is Richmond.
And so everyone's copied them, man.
Yeah.
I just think all you do is set yourself up for ridicule. I just don't see the point.
I think it's great to have those goals. I think it's great to put those in place. It's an internal thing. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not going out there to finish bottom 5 or bottom 2 or whatever. They're going out there to play every game to win, which ultimately will win you a premiership.
It's blah, blah anyway. We plan to win a premiership well, hang on, aren't we trying to win a premiership this year?
Exactly
right. That's a load of crap.
Yeah. Every team starts out on 0 points, so you've got just as good as an opportunity as the next team to win a premiership. I think coming out and stating it's pretty bad.
Vastly overrated.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it can be problematic, and I think we're going to see that over the course of the year. Look, they're tracking in the right direction. I think good on them for setting some plans, but I think you don't want to put undue pressure. No. All right, we're going to finish out on that one there, and boy, oh boy, a big night tonight, and we covered a lot of topics, and as per usual, mate, we promise to do better next week.
We will certainly have a crack.
In this crazy world we live in, we all need the distraction. Enjoying the show? Like, rate, and subscribe. Hook up and connect with us on social media at Sportscast SA. We'll see you next time on Game On.